Welcome, everybody. This is Carolyn Eberly, and I'm founder of the Mind Energy Body School of Transformation. And I look forward to supporting you in this next hour to really teach you a new paradigm for how to live your life and how to look at the difficulties that you're experiencing. We're going to discuss exactly what is the path to emotional joy, even when the worst thing happens. How those sleepless nights, anxiety, and those dang emotions and false self can actually work for you instead of against you. You see, I've worked with, famous people, rich people, Grammy winners, and the bottom line is even they have sleepless nights. Even if you have all the money and talent in the world, unless you're able to embody a couple key skills, emotional skills, life skills, you can still have trouble sleeping at night. You can still feel overwhelmed by the hardships. So as we go on this journey together, I want you to kind of be as open as a Zen bowl. I want you to feel like you're awakening to a new paradigm, a new way of looking at your life difficulties so that they have shown up for you and not to you. But first, a little bit about me. How did I develop this new way of looking at life, these skills that I help people develop so that challenges don't have to hold them back? Well, I studied a lot of different things. I studied energy healing, Reiki, healing touch. I studied at the Barbara Brennan School of Healing. I was actually a massage therapist for a decade as well. But I've also studied the mental health system, how to work with trauma. I'm a licensed professional counselor. I got my master's in counseling about a decade ago or more. I also have studied body-centered somatic trauma work, Hakomi. I've been a meditation teacher. My first meditation class was when I was just 14. I'm a spiritual traveler and been all over the world trying to understand more about how reality is created and how I can be a more conscious creator. My book, Explorer's Mind, A Map to Freedom, is available on Amazon, and I've got quite a few more books on the way. I'm basically a consciousness nerd, and I look forward to supporting you as we go through this presentation. So my challenge, my life challenge, actually created my gifts, and that's kind of the theme of this presentation. How can life challenge bring out your gifts? How can life happen for you, not to you? And I show you this picture that a student of mine created for me, drew for me before she even met me. She drew it about 6 months before we met, and she drew it knowing that she was going to give it to her spiritual teacher, the person that was going to help her through difficult times. And you notice the black behind the child, and yet the light coming in. And that was basically my life as a child. I had all this darkness around me. I didn't know about the light. And here's me as a child there. So even though she didn't know who I was, look at how clearly she drew a picture of me before she met me. That's how connected we all are. That's the magical universe I want this presentation to help you awaken to experience. I want you to understand that even though I had darkness as a child, that things can really turn around and that there is this magical reality that you can manifest for yourself, especially when life difficulties happen, not instead of, okay? So have you ever felt as though life was a test and you could fail? I know I have. Yet there is no failure in this life. You can't fail. You can make mistakes. There are really only lessons and more self-mastery to receive. So I want you to open, as that Zen bowl is, that anything that's not working for you right now can actually bring you to a deeper level of mastery, manifesting, and magic in your life. Let's talk more about that. I want you to consider that you are so much more than whom you think you are, that there is a bigger core being wholeness that you can learn to regulate back to. And I'm going to teach you 5-step skills and spiritual laws. I call it the secret code formula to transforming pain to power. So see the picture of what we think we are, yet what we really are. I'm going to help you understand how that false self can actually reveal and help you incarnate and bring forward more of your true self. So take a moment now and just consider that you are something amazing, something bigger than what you think. You know, there's a lot of talk about a higher self. I'm not real thrilled with considering it a higher self because it considers that it's something outside of you and not inside of you. And what this presentation is really about, it's having that so-called higher self be embodied throughout your day within you, as in this picture. Kind of cool, huh? And now here's the energetics of that bigger you who can be in charge and can create your life. One of the universal laws I teach is your sense of self creates your reality. So if you're connected to that smaller wounded self, you're creating a lower vibrational reality than being connected to that bigger wholeness of who you really are. So in essence, I'm saying life is an illusion, that the things that seem to be so difficult that hold us back is not the reality and the deeper truth. There's a picture in the upper left-hand corner of my daughter, who I named Maya, as a symbol of helping us learn how to awaken from the illusion, from the pain. There's a saying that life is suffering, and I say life has pain in it. Yes, I can't take you away from the emotional pain that happens, the life pain that happens, but you don't have to suffer. So let's explore this even more. So there is a science called quantum physics, and I want to talk a little bit about the quantum reality that can awaken possibilities. In the quantum reality, a student, before she meets me, can draw a picture of me as a child. I mean, that's the magical potential available in the quantum reality. Yet in the Newtonian reality, in Newtonian physics, everything is solid. Your negative sense of self is solid. It can't change. Emotions are who you are. Cancer cannot automatically, spontaneously transform and be eliminated. Yet in the quantum reality, you can access these superpower abilities. So how do you do that? Let's find out. Let's talk more about that. You see, everything is made of particles of energy, and these particles can transform from lower vibrations, such as sadness, anxiety, loneliness, to high vibrations of consciousness, such as joy, power, creation. Like in The Matrix, you know, I just really love that movie, The Matrix. If you haven't seen it for a while, it's a good rewatch. So how can you influence reality to manifest your highest good? How can emotional pain transform to power? As you learn to change how you feel and perceive the negative emotions, yourself and reality around you, it can change the quantum reality, because how you feel those atoms of energy that are vibrating at pain determines if you can heal them. For instance, when my daughter was in high school, she woke up from school one morning and she tripped and she stubbed her toe, and then, she spilled the milk on her cereal, and oh my gosh, one thing spiraled down after the other. And I said to her, Mai, if you don't shift something inside you, the day is going to continue to spiral down. If you don't change that energy within you, it's going to perpetuate a negative downturn. And she's like, yeah, Mom, I know. I'm learning to shift it. I'm learning to shift it. So let's talk more about how you learn to shift those low vibrations of sadness to joy, how you shift uncontrollable overwhelm, stress, and insecurity, a feeling of not being safe in a relationship, and shift it to wholeness. So on one side, there's low vibrational consciousness. On the other side, there's high vibrational consciousness. If you have enough high vibrational consciousness, you can transform it. I like to use the analogy of white paint and black paint, with white paint representing high vibrational consciousness. And if you have enough high vibrational consciousness, joy, connection to your bigger spiritual wholeness, your core being, and then you hit some sadness, or you have a death in the family, or you lose your job, as long as you've cultivated enough high vibrational consciousness as shown in this demo, you can transform pain to power. You can use the difficulty as a way to incarnate more of your wholeness into physical form. Because everything is particles of energy. And instead of, getting lost in the pain, you can awaken to that magic quantum reality. Again, in the Newtonian reality, things can't change. But in the quantum reality, as you get the skills, and we're going to talk more about the skills as we move forward, as you get the skills how, you can transform that difficulty, that divorce, that job loss, that, illness back to wholeness. Again, it's really about learning to cultivate the truth of who you are and awakening to that quantum reality. So I like to say, could transform emotions be better for you than processed emotions? When we process emotions, we talk about them, we think about them in our head. But that is hooked into that Newtonian reality where things are solid. Instead, I'd like you to explore that there is this new paradigm, this new skill set, where you don't just process and talk about things, but you actually meet that quantum superpower ability and you learn to transform emotions. Just like in this video. This is a video of your energy system that is filled with mucus of difficult relationships, of difficult challenges, and it transformed, as in this video. You can learn to do better than processing emotions. You can learn to transform them. So, is there a map to freedom, manifestation, and deep spiritual awakening? Yes, there is. And that's exactly what I teach. It's based on 5 steps, skills, and spiritual laws. So the first spiritual law is that your sense of self creates reality. If you're connected to your bigger self, you're going to create a higher vibrational reality than your wounded self would create. And the step to implement that is awareness, simply awareness of whether you're in your wholeness or in your wounded self. And the skill to implement that, I call it the explorer's mind. I invented the explorer's mind when I was actually on the Mount Everest region in Nepal, and I was at 18,000 feet. And the people that we followed up there said, we can, you can keep all, we'll share our food, we'll share our shelter with you. Come with us, come cross this mountain pass with us. And then when it started snowing and it started getting dark, they decided that they had nothing to share with us. And I could have freaked out, and my wounded self would probably have died up there. But instead, I connected to my bigger sense of self. And I said, how is this really an opportunity for engaging some of my superpower abilities. And it ended up being the most magical, most memorable evening of my life. So, yeah, so that's the first key. Let's go to the second step in skill and spiritual law. So, the second spiritual law says you are not your emotional pain. It's just energy. It's part of that superpower skill of feeling emotional pain challenge at that quantum reality level. That's when you're individualized and differentiated from the pain. And the skill to implement that is something called the intention line. It's this really intense, amazing magnetic energy as shown in this video here, like two magnets pulling. It creates such power throughout your mind and body that you can actually differentiate and individualize from the challenge, stay connected to your wholeness, and hold two places at once so that you don't collapse into overwhelm and stress. Now, how might that serve you? Now, those who stay to the end of this webinar, you will be able to receive some special opportunities and some free gifts. So I encourage you to hang with me, and at the end, I'll offer you some great opportunities and some free gifts on how you can learn how to connect to this powerful magnetic energy of the power of who you really are. So let's go on. What are the other spiritual laws and steps? So step 3 and spiritual law 3, let's talk about that. As many of you may have noticed, your negative past will repeat until you actually shift that consciousness, that low vibrational, think about it as black paint, that's in your way. And as you learn how to really name, own, and claim what's asking to be transformed so you can create a higher vibrational reality for yourself, you can actually follow through with something I call the choice point for this skill. Actually learning to lean in to that challenging pain and choose to not repeat that negative past. So how would that help you in your life? Can you now think of something that is holding you back, a negative habituated pattern? And how powerful would you be if you could name, own, and claim that energy, that black paint that keeps that negative cycle repeating, and then follow a choice point to change so the negative past doesn't have to hold you back anymore? You actually have to learn how to lean into that pain. Remember earlier we talked about how you feel determines if you heal? Well, yeah, I can help you embody the skills to stop that negative past from repeating, how to lean into it, follow that choice point so you create a better reality for yourself. Let's talk about spiritual law 4. It's when you understand at the deepest, most profound level that difficulty happens for you, not to you. And then you can understand why that difficulty is going on. You can link it to the past. Like for me, one of the challenges is I let people walk all over me way too much. And it's because in the past, that's what my parents did. They didn't treat me well. They abused me. And so I'm more habituated to let people, take advantage of me. So this fourth skill I call the enlightened observer. And it's when you start awakening out of the Newtonian solid reality into the quantum superpower ability reality where magic can happen. I call it the enlightened observer. So you've all heard about the witness. Many people talk about the objective observer, the witness that can help you see a different perspective. Well, I have discovered that I don't want somebody being objective when I've lost myself, when I'm collapsed into the pain of life. I want something to come in and rescue me. I call it the enlightened observer because it's not objective, it remembers my brilliance. Remember that slide of your core being and the brilliant light coming through? I want a very biased observer to come in that can have my back, then that can bring in those high vibrations, that white paint to come in and melt the darkness that is within me. And it's a really powerful skill I can help you develop. It's actually quite life-changing when you can let in the light to help shift that smaller child consciousness, that trauma, that negative belief, that negative pattern in your life, and actually transform it. Not just process it, but have that superpower ability to actually transform it. Because pain is that energetic portal incarnating more being wholeness. And that's what Spiritual Law 5 says. It reminds you that that negative thing that you're feeling, as you learn not to process it, but to transform it, it will help you reconnect to your bigger self and incarnate more wholeness so that the black paint in your life can transform to the white paint of who you really are. Now, how would that help your life? I really find one of my gifts is to help you understand, and I've trained my students and my graduates how to do this, and hundreds and thousands of clients how to do this. How they can connect to that difficulty, feel it in the body, because how you feel determines if you heal, and transform it so that they embody the bliss of who they really are. It's an exciting time when I get to see my graduates in my program, my students, my clients really take charge of their life and embody those superpower skills of the brilliance of who they really are. Because again, how you feel determines if you heal. This is when pain becomes that energetic portal back to wholeness, wisdom, and positive creation. So let's do an exercise on this, okay? So I want you to clap your hands and rub your hands together, and then I want you to place them on your thigh. And I want you to imagine the energy from that clapping going into your thigh. And then bring your mind and your breath to meet the energy in your body. Connecting breath with awareness, relaxing, breathing in. How did just that brief moment of clapping your hands, rubbing them together, then placing them on your thigh, can you receive the positive white paint into your body? Can you feel the magic in that moment as the more deadened physical body awakens? So what if you had that skill, that ability to do it with your deepest trauma, your deepest overwhelm, your deepest stress? What if you really had that superpower ability? How might that change your life? So what if your emotional pain was that portal that manifests your highest good, put the ship back on course? And what if that difficulty that you're experiencing right now, divorce, illness, relationship challenge, what if that difficulty was the actual energetic portal that could help you incarnate more of your wholeness into physical form, that brought your metaphorical ship back on the path of your highest good? So I truly believe life happens for us, not to us. And any difficulty that shows up for you had to happen. Otherwise, it wouldn't have shown up. Because the universe does have our back. And as you learn how to use the difficulty to put your, again, metaphorical ship, your life back on course. Now, wouldn't that be useful? What if it helped you embody more of your spiritual wholeness, your power, your core being? Because if difficulty brings you down deeper into your wound, we know that you'll create life of a lower vibrational consciousness because your wound creates a lower vibrational consciousness. But consider this quantum reality, not Newtonian fixed negative reality. You use the difficulty to actually incarnate, embody more of your wholeness. So you created a higher vibrational reality. Wouldn't that be awesome? Since it's pretty clear our sense of self creates our reality. So why can't we use difficulty to connect to a bigger part of ourselves so that we are the masters of creating a much more higher vibrational reality, manifesting our dreams into physical form? So here's a video of, how I think it might happen. You connect to this bigger wholeness within you. And that bigger wholeness existed before birth, right? When you were connected to the oneness of all the universe, all the world, like a symphony of notes. And you, as your unique note, decided to incarnate into physical form and be born here on earth. So part of what I think we're really doing here is incarnating more of the oneness of who we really are and really manifesting our wholeness so that we can have joy down here, so we can get the lessons we need to learn down here. And we don't have to be victims to our circumstance. There is this magnificent playground of earth. We get to smell, we get to taste, we get to make love. There's so many good things down here that we can do. And as we learn to embody more of our brilliance and who we really are, we get to manifest more of what we think is our highest good. Yet there's something called the brain and body system, which can hold us back. It really is our saboteur because we have this caveman brain. And that caveman brain can feel trauma. And trauma, in my view, is anything that keeps us separated from our core being. So our caveman brain is designed to look, it has a negativity bias. It's designed to look for what's not working. And the way energy works, if all you do is look for what's not working, then you get more of what's not working. I think we all know that part of our brain that's like, this isn't working, this isn't working. What are you manifesting by just looking at what's not working? Yet your brain is designed, it sabotages you. It's designed to do that because essentially you have a monkey, a mouse, and a reptile. And it creates this ego-based sense of self versus a wholeness sense of self, a core being sense of self. So the monkey is the higher brain, which is in your prefrontal cortex that loops and loops in the negative talk. The mouse brain is your limbic system that's constantly afraid and hyper aroused or hypo aroused around danger issues. And then you have this very primal response system that gets stuck like an old record in the olden days when a record would get stuck in a groove and it would go over and over that same groove. Do you ever think your life is like over in the same negative groove? And I say blame it on the brain. And that is the saboteur. Yet you can learn how to rewire your brain and body system. You can learn how to let your ego feel unsafe because it's going to feel unsafe. It's going to be defensive, reactive, and you can heal that reactivity using the 5 steps, the 5 skills, and the 5 spiritual laws. And it can empower you to create exactly what you want, because there's something called neuroplasticity. You can actually rewire your brain for higher consciousness. And you can learn how to live within what in trauma work we call the window of tolerance. And this means that you don't get so out of your window of stress so that you hurt your body, you go to anxiety, you can't sleep, you feel overwhelmed. You can learn how to stay within your window of tolerance and transform what isn't working in your life to get the power, those superpower skills. So one of the things you need to do to get those superpower skills is to really self-identify as your wholeness and be kind and loving to your human. For she needs you to show up for him or her to heal. So when you're wholeness and you're self-identified as your wholeness and you can help your human, you can help that negative brain patterning, I call that secure attachment. It's when you are securely identified as the wholeness, transforming the pain, using the 5-step skills and spiritual laws, because you decide your destiny. So how does transformation happen? Well, I took this picture when I was in Africa, and it was one of the most beautiful trees I saw. But all around it was dead plants. It was during the drought. And you see, this unique tree only blooms during the drought. And what this system of change does for you, it helps you learn how to heal during your metaphorical drought. That is what transformation is. It's not just processing things to do over and over again. I mean, I don't think processed food is very good for us. I don't think processed emotions are very good for us either. So as you learn how to transform pain to power, you move out of what I call the 3 rings of healing. The outer ring being your defensiveness, the middle ring, the blue ring, being your trauma. You actually move out of defense into the pain. Yes, like I said, you have to feel pain, but you don't have to suffer when you learn the system of change, because then it connects you deeper to your core being wholeness. So as you master these skills, look at the center ring in this. You don't transform the pain, you actually incarnate, as we talked about earlier. You embody more of your wholeness. So the outer rings become smaller. Your brain and body systems don't sabotage you as much anymore because you self-identify and rewire that white paint, embody more of that white paint, and get rid of the black paint, the low vibrational consciousness in your life. And I call it energetic weightlifting. If you work with me or one of my students, or if you take our trainings and do our systems, you learn something called energetic weightlifting until eventually you can lift and transform the most difficult emotions and the most difficult life challenges. Yet we start you out doing small transformations, like that exercise with us, clapping our hands and rubbing our hands together and connecting to our thighs and seeing a little shift happen. As you grow in your skill set, you become the masters of life. So to do that, you have to start learning a little bit about the anatomy of the energy field. So would it be useful to understand where the trauma is held in your body and your energy system? What about love? Where's that held in your energy system when you need it? And your false sense of self versus your true sense of self in your body and your energy system. Well, let's do a couple quick videos on where is this stuff held. And if you hold on to the end of the training, I will give out some free gifts and some free opportunities, discounted opportunities for you. Okay, check out this video. This is where the energy of your negative sense of self, your relationship to yourself, and you see the darkness, right? But when You learn the 5-step skills and spiritual laws. You connect to the darkness and transform it to light, as in this video. You don't sift through processed emotions. You actually transform them in your brain and body system. You learn how to shift your chakra system. This is in the auric field, and those circles are chakras, and they hold negative or positive energy. And you get to learn which chakras are your best chakras that can help your weaker chakras, and how to transform your weaker chakras so that you can actually incarnate that wholeness and live your highest good. Here's a video of the chakra spinning. You can spin your chakras, you can heal your chakras. They're in the front and the back. Oh, and the beauty and the superpower abilities that can come through for you. You don't have to stay and be abused by your emotions. You were not meant to be abused by your negative emotions. They were meant to help you awaken and embody more of your gifts and more of your skills. Here's the first level, the physical level of your auric energy field. And it can go from too holy or too tight into a beautiful grid of health. And this one is your mental energy field. If you have holes or breaks in the mental level of your auric energy field, the third level of the field, this is based on the Barbara Brennan system. You can be forgetful. You can have anxiety and looping thoughts, or you can shift it back to a beautiful grid. And this is the fourth level of the work field, the one of relationships I showed you earlier. You can shift those negative relationships back to wholeness. And again, this is based on the Barbara Brennan School of Healing, their anatomy of the energy field. I've made a few slight changes from it, but I really want to give kudos to Barbara Brennan, who taught me about the intention line, the hara line, and the levels of the field and the chakra system. So in the work I teach, I help clients and students and graduates feel their trauma so that it's smaller than their bigger energy field. If when you feel an emotional pain and you shrink to become it, you can't really transform it. That's when you're processing it. So you learn so many skills and abilities through the 5 steps and the spiritual laws on how to keep your energy field with enough white paint to transform the trauma in the way. So this is a picture of a whale. And if you read a past article on the front page story of the San Francisco Chronicle, you would have read about a female humpback whale who had become tangled in a spider web of crab traps and lines. She was weighed down by hundreds of pounds of traps that caused her to struggle to stay afloat. She was basically drowning by the weight of these lines and traps. They were tugging on her mouth, her body, her tail. A fisherman saw her and called out for help. So a local environmental group came by and they worked for hours with curved knives and eventually cut one by one of the lines off her and freed her. When she was free, the divers say she swam in what seemed like joyous circles. She came back and one by one looked each one in the eye as if to say, thank you for helping me. Thank you for saving me. And the guy who cut the rope out of her mouth said her eyes were following him the whole time, and he will never be the same. May you and all those you love be so blessed and fortunate to be surrounded by people who will help you get untangled from the things that are binding you. And may you always know the joy of giving and receiving gratitude. I pass this on to you, my friends, in the same spirit. I'm sending you so much love and support, and I really believe in your ability to really awaken to that deeper brilliance of who you are. And to support you along the way, I'm going to offer you some discount sessions. Normally a session is $140. I'll take $40 off that, so you'll save immediately, and you can have a session for only $100. Just go to mindenergybody.org/mastery and pay for the session, and then I will schedule with you and we'll find a mutual time. I see clients early in the morning and late in the evening. Again, click on mindenergybody.org/mastery and I'll offer you a discount session, $40 off the session. And for the first 10 people that sign up for this discounted session, I will give you a Be Kind to Your Human bumper sticker that you can keep around you and share with others so that they too can learn to be kind to their human and self-identify as their wholeness. If you have questions or need anything, always reach out to me. Let me know how I can better serve you. And once again, the first 10 people that sign up for the discount sessions get those Be Kind to Your Human bumper stickers. Go to mindenergybody.org/mastery. Sign up for the session and I'll contact you afterward and we'll find the right time to meet. We can do Skype, FaceTime, and if you're in town, in person. Sending you love and blessings along the way.